Welcome.
Some hoes in this house, got some hoes in this house, got some hoes in this house, got some hoes in this house, some hoes in this house.
I guess that's how we're starting today.
Yes.
There's some hoes in this house, but not on this podcast. Welcome home, everyone. We are thrilled to be with you. We're thrilled to be with you today. We are talking about, what are we talking about again? We're talking about...
So this week on the podcast, Angela was incensed because Fox News ran a story, surprise, surprise, that was misrepresenting what happened at the State of the People tour. And she was getting upset about it. And I'm like, who cares? Like 94% of their audience is white. They're conservative people. And she's like, but they get all the numbers. So that got into a conversation. Should we care about what they're thinking, what they're doing? And Angela brought up the point that sometimes our Black outlets, mainly social media, will take a story from Fox News and use their language and everything and run it, which, again, they depend on y'all to do. So I just thought, that's a good conversation. One, do we shame on the outlets that do that? Because y'all are part of the problem. Maybe y'all don't know any better. But also, should we care what white folks think? Should we be talking to white people and should we care what they think? That's the question on the table. I got my thoughts, but I'll let y'all go.
Yes.
You say yes, Andrew?
Should we care what white people think? Yeah. And should we care what they watch? Because it shapes how they feel and then how they move and how they act. And because that can impact us, yeah, I do care.
That's a good point.
Now I don't make it. So I'll give you this example, Miss. What is it? Most Wanted, America's Most Wanted.
Yes.
I used to get
I didn't know what he was about to call you.
When all of the
I was bragging
because I'm liable to say a lot of different things, right?
Jesus.
But I would get really upset in my local paper because they would put pictures of last night's arrest. And it almost always seemed to be like just a parade of black faces. And maybe I just only saw the faces that were black. I don't know, but it was really pronounced to me. And the cop shows that all the run-ins happen to always be with black people. And I'm thinking, the white people nowhere, create crime. They don't do any crimes. And and we wonder why people clutch their purse, when a black man is approaching or walking past. Now, my wife is great because she does the exact opposite, right? Like she sees somebody, she's grabbing her purse and hitting the alarm on the car to say, you're not safe, as far as I'm concerned. But that stuff starts to imagery begins to shape exactly how we are perceived and how we get interacted with. When their excuse for every black person who has a job of any import is that they got it because they were black and mildly qualified, but not all the way. That's because it's being shaped by a whole narrative that they're being fed day in and day out that says a thing. Now, mind you, I think it undergirds what they probably, at a very base level think. But nonetheless, if we don't have disruptors to that, if there is never a counter narrative, then we got a whole bunch of folks out here walking around with a bowl, a big old bag of falsehoods as a lens by which we get viewed through. We can't help it always, y'all. In fact, I think we can help it very little, but that doesn't mean we don't try.
Well, and this is the thing, right? I think Tiff and I have talked about this. Tiff used to go on Fox News. And so, Tiff, I'm actually curious for you, what changed in your thinking, because there was a point where you were like, I'm going to go on here and argue, at least, and maybe I'm projecting, but I'm thinking you're like, I'm going to go on here and make sure there's somebody on here telling y'all the truth. And versus now where you like, forget you hoes, not hosts.
Yeah. So nothing changed. I used to do Fox News 2016, 2017. I used to do Harris Faulkner, her show, and maybe some other shows. I will be honest, why I went on those shows, I don't want to say our friend who gets mad every time I mention his name on air, but I'm saying it, Albert. But it was great training ground because I had been a producer, executive producer, all that before, but being on camera. And so he would antagonize me and interrupt me and be nasty to me and rude to me and, poke holes in every point I made and just be obnoxious because his point was, if you can handle that, he would prepare people on Capitol Hill, like the Benghazi hearings, like that was in his work portfolio. So he would handle me the same way. And his point is, if you can handle that, then you should be able to handle any platform. And so he thought like you should go on Fox News and do some of their programming. Now, I will say that was like right at the beginning of the Trump administration, and my ignorance and perhaps a little bit of naivete at that time is I did not know how bad things would get. I thought that there would be a time where we could all at least agree on basic facts. And at that time, I did not look at or view or experience Fox News as the danger that they are now. They were always just a problematic network and, right-wing network. But I do think they shifted as they got emboldened during the Trump administration to something that I couldn't do. So I did it a few times and I stopped doing it. And I will say Harris Faulkner took me to lunch because I refused to do the network after like maybe 5 appearances, because every time I did it, I would be flooded with very specific death threats. And not just like, I always called a nigger. It's like, I'm going to kill you, nigger, or f*** you, nigger. Even some of the emails were like, f*** you, nigger, America's not racist.
For sure. For sure.
Well, you convinced me, sir. Sure. You convinced me.
We're not racist, you dumb black. I mean, they literally.
You get it all.
Unqualified, ignorant, illiterate.
But that's why your brain is smaller. Exactly. Like they love to send those. Be like, but you're not racist. These are just.
It started getting specific in the sense of like, I'm going to rape you. Or I'm going to watch you get raped and just things. And then they started not only attacking me, but anybody who followed me. This is when I was like still active on Facebook, and they would like go on my mom's page, my friend's page. And it just didn't seem like a good use of time. So that's my own journey. But I think in terms of viewership, some people say like, we got to know what both sides are thinking. And, I just wonder sometimes when we give oxygen to something, we make it bigger than what it is. And so if one person is screaming in the air on Fox News that, Tiffany Cross is like, Tiffany Cross is running holes on K Street. Like, I don't know how many people.
Y'all like hoes today.
You brought it up, sir.
You brought it up. I left it alone, and I said host.
Well,
it's debatable. We'll run the audio back.
But it's you guys have to watch our last show for this.
Yes, be sure to watch to understand the whole perspective this week.
The whole entire perspective.
The whole entire
our resident male hoe. Just so you know, we're interchanging hoe and host, and Andrew is so over us.
Well, the S&T is silent, as Andrew said.
But if you watch Fox News, hoe, just carry on. Keep going.
Right. So I don't know. I do think sometimes when you give things oxygen, it becomes bigger. Like you're introducing it, and it's like you're looking at a car wreck, and it's like, stop looking at it. Stop giving them our eyes. Stop giving them our viewership. Stop giving them free promo. But Andrew, what you said is
except that they're going to run it on rotation anyway.
But what you said is like, well, we kind of have to care about what they're thinking about because that's going to inform how they feel. So maybe
and how they act.
Yes. Which is, and that can be dangerous to our physical person.
That's right.
It can be our violence to our physical person. It can be structural violence to our lives. So I get that point. So maybe I should adjust that and say, I don't care about Fox News. Like, I don't want to subject myself to seeing those things because, like, Angela, the reaction, like your visible reaction to seeing it is how I feel inside. But it's not just Fox. It's how I feel inside when I read the papers. It's how I feel when I watch BBC, CNN, all of it. It's like the chaos of today. So I have to choose my piece. And it's like, I'm not going to volunteer to go look at Fox or talk about Fox because that is just foolishness and not worth my time. And it's just going to add angst to me. But quite honestly, everything is adding angst to me these days. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Can you talk, Angela?
Angela, how do you handle it?
Yeah.
I was going to say we had a hole, and then I thought about hoe again. This is just so tragic. I'll never be able to say any of these.
I said handle.
Oh. No, but I said we had a hole, and I was like, hoe. We had a hole.
Yeah.
We had a hole. conversation at the State of the People thing about not letting Fox come in. Like the whole, so a part of what I was reading, I was like, now how did they even get this? So maybe they just, picked up or saw the stream, but I was just like, they were clamoring to get cameras in there, and you knew it wasn't because they wanted to spread relief to ensure Black people got relief at the event.
But you didn't let them in.
No, I don't believe we did. Somebody might have, but we had a whole conversation about we don't want them in here because the intention's not right. It's not to even cover, without bias. It is to try to catch the mayor up in something. We knew that was going to be the case. He showed up in his official capacity, it wasn't a rally for him as governor. It wasn't a rally for anyone running for office. This was an opportunity.
No, it was a black flag burning.
Lord.
Event. I mean, that's how they handle it, right? Today had a flag burning event.
And just so we're super clear, because they keep being sarcastic on these podcasts, it was an event so people could feel empowered at a time where our hope is being stolen from us every single day. And I just think that to go from the morning conversations we're having about the best way to get relief to Newark residents, and then for them, their takeaway, for it to be this, when there were gun violence prevention workshops and all of these incredible things going on, how to mobilize people, how to, help folks who are homeless, how to help pay utility bills. Like, why are y'all even on this? And I think that the reality of it is, Tiff, to your point, there are so many people who are clearly watching Fox, who sit in those same income brackets of the people that we're trying to help. And the real ally here should be the poor folks who are Black and brown, because there are so much more in common than there is difference. Yeah. And they can't see it because they want to be cloaked in their whiteness in ways that will make them feel more comfortable, even if that means ignore my nightmare and let me strive for this dream that is completely out of reach. But it would be in reach if I just was in coalition with these poor Black and brown people. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I wish for the life of me that we could cut through, because I know our intention is so good. Like, this isn't about going viral or creating space for people in leadership or trying to get somebody more. This really is about the Ray Lewises of the world, or Kenya at the event, who talked about living in a motel, who regularly brings food to the other elders who are in this motel. So she is unhoused. And she volunteered with us from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. But nobody wants to tell that story because that's not clickbaitable enough. You'd rather go on here and say, oh, Mayor Ras called himself David. I wonder who the Goliath is. Bitch, we know who the Goliath is. We are not confused. You are feigning confusion because that gets you the clicks.
And I would click on that before I would anything about the mayor, respectfully. I would click on the woman. Well, you would,
but you got some sense, you got morals, and you have compassion, Tiff. And you got empathy. You got a convergence of all things that make you beautiful before we even get to your lashes, honey. Right? So I'm like, this is, and not the whole lashes, Andrew, just lashes.
Snuffleupagus, not snuffleupagus.
I don't call the kids lashes whole lashes. I wasn't even saying a snuffleupagus.
I didn't say
anyway, I'm just saying, to keep the hoes out of this.
Yes.
I'm just saying, or maybe bring them in. Actually, bring them in. Bring the hoes into this conversation.
The hoes welcome
where are they going to sit?
The hoes
all the hoes welcome.
Yeah,
all
that's
the hoes
real.
Welcome.
Yeah.
Because
they need help too. They honestly,
we really are.
Let me stop being disrespectful, because I'm not even going to say hoes, but sex workers is really what I'm talking about.
Yes.
Sex workers.
See, I
also.
haven't got that technical.
I know, Andrew. But
all Andrew said was host.
That's all I said.
He
and
said,
this is where
Andrew
we at.
said host. Angela and I thought he said host. That is what
he
we're
said, for
about.
all you hoes. We were like,
I know.
It took a long time for that.
That ST snuck in real quiet.
No, that's y'all just trying to know.
Host.
I'll say this point that's on point, which is,
this is bad.
I don't think that other minority groups who should be in common cause with us, like in real life in common cause with us, are going to find common cause until they determine that the approximate value for coalition with us is greater than their approximate closeness to whiteness and what whiteness brings in society. And I don't think any group is going to find resonance with our cause, even no matter how common, we share it, until they determine that being closer to that group will advantage me in society more than being close to that group. And right now, in every way, shape, and form, society reinforces that your approximation and proximity to whiteness, if you can claim it, will bring you greater access, more power, more money, more ways to maneuver in society than being with that group. And I just think at every level, it has to be disrupted. It's one of the things I wanted to ask the mayor, but I know we had a lot to try to get to cover is he's got a large Hispanic population that he's got to appeal to in the state as he faces a general election. And as you know very intimately, Angela, and Tiff, peripherally for you, is that certainly in a state like Florida, the ways in which you are going to talk about a detention facility that may be illegally housing those who don't have proper paperwork in this country is going to land differently talking to Hispanics or folks from Latin American countries here than maybe it will in New Jersey, because they don't want to be approximate to an immigrant who is here without papers.
And we got to keep
Their
that
approximation
in mind with the Latino community.
Wants to be close to those who would be enforcing the laws against people who are here without papers.
Yeah.
So I think it's a difficult formula, but I do think on the base, at the most basic level, when we have to ask ourselves these questions, why aren't we in greater coalition? We are dealing with the same stuff. They want both of us down under their knee at every competition.
And you got to consider Nuyorican, Puerto Ricans in New York are different than Cubans in Florida, are different
multiple generations in this country,
are different than Mexicans in LA. Like you have to disaggregate. Just because the white man came along and say, okay, we calling y'all Hispanics, that doesn't mean that this is all the same group of people. So I don't know. I'm concerned about our disaggregated
or they're incentivized. Toward the same outcome.
Yeah. I want to tell y'all, since we were supposed to be talking about press a little bit, I just want to say one thing that I have been really shocked to hear consistently is how many people tune into our podcast to get correct political information and marching orders about what to do next. And I think that's really a
especially
testament.
Them hoes.
Anyway.
I thought we were in the clear. I thought we were in the clear. What's the thing Bill O'Reilly says? We'll do it live. We'll do it live.
Y'all,
Andrew?
we have been teetering off the tracks almost the whole time. I figured we
We're
would go
not
right
on the
on
underground
over.
or overground railroad.
We're going to go right. Well, if there wasn't underground, wouldn't there be tracks left?
Come on, ride this straight. And
ride it.
Oh, you trying to go South Base DJ?
I got a complaint about that because Angela just made a point about how people tune into us, and on legacy media, mainstream media, they constantly play clips from Kara Swisher's podcast and Joe Rogan's podcast, and we have had during DNC we had guests that nobody else had. On this show, we have insight and opinion and thought that it just doesn't matter to them. It really just doesn't matter.
Because you're their competition and not their compliment.
But those other people are their competition. And they what matters to them is white thought. They center. Oh, I see what you're saying, Andrew, because they may be. No, but Kara Swisher gets numbers. There are other people who get numbers. And it's when they say something, it's oh, let's play this soundbite from this Who Gives a Shit podcast.
They get numbers and service.
Even what is the other podcast? Oh, that's fine. So boring.
We're
Pod
not
Save
saying
America.
we don't give a shit about these people's podcasts either. We're just
I don't care about.
I'm not saying that.
I shouldn't say that. I said that,
all.
so I shouldn't say that. But even Pod Save America, no diss to them. But even people talk about their podcast, and I'll listen, and I don't know that I have heard some great insight from voices. Sometimes it can come across a bit monotonous.
Well, you just need to get greater approction to white people.
Yes, clearly.
All right. So I don't know what's happening here today, but we don't love them hoes. We're going to go ahead and log off.
Welcome home.
We got problems. I thought my ADD was bad today. I think y'all met me right in it. I was saying something about the podcast.
I don't care what you say. I was still on
feel so
topic.
bad. Loren, Nick,
I was still on topic.
Oh, you guys, Angie's birthday is today. When this is our podcast running on Friday or Monday?
Happy birthday,
Ange White, our future lawyer.
Oh, happy birthday,
Ange White.
Thank you for what you do.
For your
help.
She runs our social stuff. We appreciate you.
Well, be sure to subscribe, y'all, and tell a friend.
Native Land Pod is a production of iHeartRadio in partnership with Reason Choice Media. For more podcasts from iHeartRadio, visit the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.